Hello. 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 My name is
Dee-Lovely.
So, after asking on my Facebook page what people would like to see me cover in a tutorial, overwhelmingly the response was, how do you do your boobs? And whenever I speak in classes, I'm very surprised if that's not one of the questions that's asked immediately. So, you know, I'm going to throw caution to the wind and do what I'm calling the tutorial.
Dee-Lovely.
It can be painful, but if you're a man and want to learn the procedure involving duct tape, which I won't show you on myself, but I will try to explain in a diagram. The procedure from this isn't too different than maybe when you were a child and standing in front of the mirror and you pulled your skin together in your chest. But basically what you do is you pull all the skin around from your side and your back and pull it tight in the middle so you have a large cleavage wrinkle, and then you secure that with 2 strips of tape on each side in kind of an H pattern. Okay, so once you have your chest tape like that, what you want, which I'm going to open and reveal right now, this is what it looks like prior to any stuffing and any contouring. It's simply a wrinkle in the middle of your chest. Now, this is where it gets interesting, and this is where it really begins to take shape. And I'm going to show you the best boobs that money can buy, which is very surprising. I use black socks, and I always use black because I typically stick to black bras. And if for any reason somebody should see the sock, it's certainly not as easy to clock as, say, a bright pink sock or a white sock. But at any rate, if you're a biological female and you want to perhaps maximize the lift from a push-up bra, I suggest this. A padded bra, not a padded bra, but a bra with a solid cup that's shaped works really, really well. And all you have to do really is to put a sock or some kind of solid padding of some type into the cup, and then what you do is, and set this even more, pull your skin so that it rests on top of the sock. And you might have to adjust this throughout the night, but you can see already how full that becomes. And of course you want to mold it a little bit so it doesn't stick out, but I don't have an awful lot of extra flesh on my chest. And the results are always pretty jaw-dropping to people that don't know, either they haven't seen me or don't know how to do it. Now, this is where the enhancement really comes into play. You want to take a blush brush of some type that works best if it's slightly angled, like that, if you can see. And you want to take a similar palette of colors as you've used on your facial contouring. For instance, if you are tan or you're looking for a sun-kissed look, you would want to use bronzers or golden and brown tones. If you're very light-skinned and you don't tan well and you have a creamy complexion, I would recommend sticking to more to like a rose or a plum shade, and you can do that with eyeshadow as well. But at any rate, once you're molded and everything and you're ready, I always use, as I do on the face, about 2 or 3 shades. I'm going to start with just a very inexpensive bronzer that I've purchased at like a Kmart or Target. And load up your brush. And while you're watching in the mirror, if you lean back, and you're actually, you know, once you've done this, you should be able to see a natural shadow from the light. And you want to follow that shadow and try to paint right where you see that shadow. And of course, do it in somewhat of a half moon, semicircular shape. You don't want to overdo it. Again, with this, less is always more until you're familiar enough with the process to feel comfortable enough to do it. But at any rate, we have a little bit of contouring now. And something like this would work well for just an everyday occasion. However, if you're going to be on stage or under bright lights and you want to add more pop to it, proceed to the next shade. And a really, really good example of this being done successfully is most often on Janet Jackson. Janet Jackson is a huge, huge fan of Contour Chest. Specifically the music video that she did with Busta Rhymes a few years back. I don't know what the song's called, but that's an excellent example. And with the next shade then, you don't want to go out as far. You want to keep it more in towards the middle, where the cleavage is a little bit deeper, and you want to make sure that you get right in the cleavage. You don't want it to go into the line. You want it to actually seem as though it's a natural shadow. And if you really, really want to take the time to detail this up, you can go in with smaller brushes and draw a line. It does not look as natural, but it can be done. And then the last one is take your darkest color, and this is where the angled brush comes in handy. You want to put that right in the deepest part of the cleavage. And fade it very gently into the other two tones that you've done. Now if it does end up to look a little bit heavier than you would prefer, of course you can go over it with your powder puff that you've used on your face, and hopefully if that powder is close enough to your complexion, it'll simply help to blend it and to fade it a little bit into a more natural look. So that, my darlings, is how you do the boobs, and I hope you've I hope you've enjoyed the tutorial.